Good day, everyone. Charles Wilson here from the DC Democratic Party. We want to welcome you back to Statehood Speaks, the DC Democratic Party's podcast where we talk to local and national Democrats about why they are Democrats and what issues are important to them. So I'm excited that we have Miss Virginia McGregor joining us today from the DNC. Virginia, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
All right, awesome. So listen, we like to start our conversation off the same way with all our guests, with a very basic question that we always enjoy what people have to say. But why are you a Democrat?
Well, it's quite a long story. I live in Scranton, Pennsylvania, which by birth, Irish Catholic Democrat is one word. I am the second youngest of a family of 11. My dad and mom were very much involved in the Democratic Party. My dad was a city councilman for 16 years. And then one of my brothers decided to run for mayor, and I ran his campaign. So politics was really part of our kitchen table discussions. And more importantly, being a Democrat. My mother and father believed that only the Democratic Party really helped people and cared about people. And I saw that in action when my father was an elected official, people coming by our front porch asking for help. And I thought, I believe in that kind of work. So when it came time to register, I registered as a Democrat, and I've stayed a Democrat. And now I'm so happy to be part of the organization.
Awesome. So okay, you registered as a Democrat. You've always been involved as a Democrat, but what has kept you so engaged with the party, and what inspired you to get involved in the party leadership?
Well, I know that on-the-ground organizing really matters, and the Democratic Party is the only party that invests a lot in that and really values their grassroots. And I wanted to be part of that. I'm very involved in my local community in the Democratic Party. And when Hillary Clinton ran for president, my youngest of my 6 children was in high school, and I just believed in her and her leadership. I thought she truly represented the values, especially when you're a woman. Only the Democratic Party fights for women to be in control of their own lives. And I have 4 daughters, and that spoke to me.
Yeah. Great. So for folks who are listening, Virginia, and I should have said this at the beginning, Virginia is the treasurer of the DNC. So serving in that role, what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned?
Well, look, people like to criticize money in elections and campaigns, but try living without it, right?
Yeah.
Running the party is a business, and my husband and I own a steel company that's been in his family 106 years. And so I've learned a lot about the importance of banking relationships and legal relationships and making sure that we have the funds necessary to invest in the party and its people. And so to answer your question, what I've learned, it's most important that we're investing in the party's mission and its people.
Right. All right. Good. Let's see. So, there's been a real big push over a number of years for small dollar donations. And that's always helpful, but politics has changed. How has the DNC adapted or is looking to adapt to that change?
Yeah, so I think your question's about small dollar donors, and I would say they are the most important part of this transition in that, we have to continue to appreciate the contributions of all our donors, but small donors are more people, right? And so just this last month in February, we raised $9 million. Over 200,000 individuals gave $35 or less. I would rather have the support of 200,000 individuals than one Elon Musk, because it goes a lot farther, because it means we have a lot more votes. And I think we saw that in Wisconsin. We, Democratic Party, we prioritize our small dollar donors. We prioritize the individual.
Yeah, there was a big win last night in Wisconsin. So hopefully
Yes.
That's the sign of things to come.
I hope so. Look, the Democratic Party has to prove that we can win. And last night's results, is a big step in that direction.
So, our podcast is called Statehood Speaks. So I can't have a podcast that talks about DC Statehood and not ask our guests a question about statehood itself. What are your thoughts on DC Statehood and how, let's start there. What are your thoughts on DC Statehood?
Well, I'm for it. I love Washington, D.C. I spend a lot of time there. I have a son there, and it's our nation's capital, right? But Democrats reject the unequal treatment of residents of D.C., Puerto Rico, and all the U.S. territories. And we unequivocally support D.C. statehood, which its residents overwhelmingly want. but the Republicans seem to block from I think even getting to the Senate.
What do you think the DNC can do more, or not just the DNC, what do you think Democrats can do more to advance this conversation?
Well, I think we have to continue to win elections. And when we win 2026, the midterms, our focus is going to be doing just that, is to make sure that we are getting on the agenda the issues that we care about most, like taking care of the people in DC and Puerto Rico and the other territories. Because we're getting out across the country to town halls, to listen to workers, and to underline the Republicans' unwavering support for the Musk agenda. That really threatens all Americans everywhere. I mean, look at all the jobs that have been lost in Washington, D.C. just because of Elon Musk.
Yep. Yeah, no, I love it. So what if, we're all gearing up for 2026. What advice do you have for organizations as far as establishing a sustainable fundraising plan?
Well, I think you have to invite as many people in as possible, right? Because Democrats stand with working people, and we're fighting for their access to critical resources like Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare. That is essential. So for organizations everywhere, invite as many people in to your conversations and to your activities. For instance, this Saturday across the country, on April 5th, there will be rallies in every city in the country. I know we're going to have one in Scranton. Mm-hmm. We expect hundreds of people holding signs, getting engaged, feeling like they're part of community, because it's a lonely time and people are distressed, and we have to give them community. We have to give them a place where they can share their concerns, but also come up with positive action.
I love it. You actually answered the two questions in one.
Well, I think we're all in agreement, right? That this isn't a time for anybody to sit on the sidelines. Even though you're feeling stressed or you're feeling stretched, everyone has to get engaged, because we all have to fight for the America that we love.
In the current political climate, and I'm just going to read this, I'm going to ask it again for the...
Okay.
All right. So in the current political climate, how can the Democratic Party position itself not only to win in 2026, but elections in the future? Let me ask the question again. Okay. In the current political climate, how can Democrats position ourselves to win in 2026 and beyond?
Well, first of all, let's talk about democratic institutions. Never before has the Trump-Musk agenda, or have we had a president that got off so quickly to attack our institutions. And institutions are only as strong as the individuals that support it. And we have been sounding the alarm on Trump's plans to be a dictator on day one through this presidential election cycle, and we have not taken the foot off the gas now that Trump has retaken power. And I think every American has to pay attention to how he's doing that by dismantling the institutions that really take care of people. Mm-hmm. And our elected officials, especially Democrats, have to do everything in their power to defend the democratic institutions. And as long as we can win these critical elections, just like last night's victory in Wisconsin's Supreme Court, and overperform in places like Florida, we will be able to do so, but it starts by winning. And the only way to win is to organize. And we have to organize by coming together on a mutual mission that we are going to protect our institutions that deliver Medicaid and Medicare, and especially Social Security. Because, let's face it, no one asked for permission to take the money out of our checks for Social Security, right? That was a covenant between the American people and our government, and Donald Trump wants to break that covenant, and we're going to not let that happen, and we're going to fight every day for those things that Americans come to depend on.
I want to ask you another question. Living in DC, you can live somewhat in a bubble. I guess we all live in bubbles in a way, but I'm curious, what is the political tone in Scranton?
Well, luckily, Scranton, Pennsylvania, not only is it the home to Hillary Clinton's dad and to Joe Biden's parents, and also part of his childhood, but we remain a blue dot in a purple state. And so our elected officials are Democrat, our mayor is Democrat, our council is Democrat, our commissioners, the majority commissioners are Democrat. But sometimes that can lead to you really fighting within yourselves for what it means to be a Democrat. But I think that what unites us as Democrats in a community that's so strongly Democrat is that we have to stand up for the workers. You know, we're a strong union town, but we're fighting for workers and for health care. And so if we ask what is on the mind of people in my community, it's those two issues. It's jobs and it's health care. And, you know, webbed with all of that is Medicare and Medicaid. And we're going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that that's not touched.
It's funny that you said that. In DC, we're all blue, too. We're super blue. And so
Yeah.
Democrats fighting Democrats. And sometimes that's the struggle because we don't have any Republicans to beat up on.
Yeah, but sometimes, you know, then you can have a real, true focused argument on what you want your party to be.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it can be inspiring.
Yes. Let's see. So your crystal ball in the future, looking into the future.
Where do I get one?
What do you see as the biggest opportunities and challenges for the Democratic Party?
Well, we have a new chair, and he's fabulous, Ken Martin, and he has hit the ground running. It's getting the DNC out of Washington and getting it to, you know, the places and the people that are going to turn out and vote in the next election, and including speaking to those who feel like they're not included and that they may not matter. You know, it's incumbent upon us to have a 50-state strategy in 7 territories. And with Ken Martin, we're going to be investing more in our state parties down to the county level. And so, you know, our crystal ball is going to be to reach more people before the 2026 midterms and to be ready to win back the White House in 2028. So I think you can count on that we're going to do everything we can, and I know we're going to be successful because failure is not an option.
It really isn't. Not at this point.
No.
So you got any parting words or parting thoughts for our listeners?
Yes, first of all, thank you for having me here today. But it's important that, as I said, that everyone know that there's a community out there to join, that wherever you live, and especially in Washington, D.C., there are communities and organizations that need your help. So get involved. This is no time to sit on the sidelines and no time to be overwhelmed by distressing or negative thoughts. This is our country. It's incumbent upon us to fight for it. And I join you in this fight, and I look forward to working with you.
Awesome. Virginia, thanks so much for joining us today. If you ever want to come back, please let us know.
Anytime.
We'd love to have you back.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Have a great day.